Good day, Junior Tuckies, and to anybody else who might be tuning in. Welcome to this English home language lesson for grade 10. Today we will be focusing on the structure of a novel with a special focus on the tone, style, narrator, and catalysts. This lesson is created by myself. My name is Miss Langtree, and yes, let's get started. So, first things first, what is tone? Well, tone is the way in which words are said. Let's read that again. It's the way in which words are said. Okay, sometimes you can have a really happy tone, and sometimes, especially if you're a teenager, you can have a bit of a sarcastic and sassy tone. Okay, nothing wrong. You can pick up on a tone when words and punctuation are used cleverly. Okay, so let's look at the example. For example, there are two bus drivers. Can you tell which one is cranky or grumpy today? Bus driver 1. Good morning. Get on the bus, please, sweet pea. Bus driver 2. Hello. Get on the bus now. Okay, I tried to read that as neutrally as possible. But I think that we can all sort of agree that bus driver 2 perhaps didn't have his coffee this morning. Okay? Bus driver 1 uses a softer tone, which is kind and gentle. This can be seen through the use of the nickname Sweet Pea. Now, just note how everything that's said is backed by evidence. This is how you must answer questions, okay? Yes, you must give as much detail as you can as to why you think the way you think. There are many pauses through punctuation, so this driver has a more relaxed tone. They're talking a bit slower. Bus driver 2 has a rude, aggressive, and condescending tone. Okay, this can be seen through the question mark after hello, as if the driver needs your attention. It can also be seen through the exclamation mark, indicating that there is no time to spare and the driver is experiencing high levels of emotion. Okay, so yeah, hello, get on the bus now. Okay, he is being very rude. You don't want to be greeted like that in the morning, I'm sure. Okay, let's have a look at the circle in the top right hand corner. A tone is a mood, vibe, as the kids would say, or atmosphere that the writer is hoping that you notice. It's coming from the writer and the way they've chosen to write their story. Okay, a tone is given off through word choice and the way something is spoken. Okay, common words used to describe tone are a happy tone, a light-hearted tone, a humorous tone, if it's funny, a dark and sinister, if it's scary, a sad tone, a worried tone, an angry tone, etc. Okay, so now we know what tone is, it's time to explore what style is. Well, style is the way in which a piece of writing is presented. And people often associate the word style with dress style. Okay, so I like your style. If someone says that to you, they probably mean that they enjoy the way you've put your shoes and your dress or your pants and your shirt and your hair and your sunglasses and your accessories. All of those little pieces are put together to create a specific style. Okay, and because of that, that is how you are overall presented to the world, and that is the same with style. Okay, so um, let's have a look. Let's carry on reading, shall we? We're over here. Okay, so people present themselves to the world through individual style. A style indicates that a person perhaps has a colorful personality, or they are an adventurous person. Perhaps the style tells you that they are a student or an elegant and sophisticated person. The same adjectives can be used when describing a writing style. You could also say, a formal person, quite, sophisticated, or an informal person because they're in a tracksuit, you know. So let's just have a look at this box over here. And I'm just trying to elaborate on what I mean when I say that you can use the same adjectives for a writing style that you can for a fashion style. Okay, so colorful writing. If you say it's really colorful writing, it's describing sort of an exuberant, a happy, a joyful writing. Okay, very upbeat. You could definitely say that that's colorful. and whimsical. Okay, if it's written in an informal sort of, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my blog, humorous style, someone who's very funny and witty, the writer intends to make you laugh. So the overall style of the novel will be aiming to make you laugh, will be aiming to put you in a place where you are happy and, willing to enjoy it like that. It's not going to be super, super sad the whole time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be described as a humorous novel. A formal, elegant, and sophisticated tone, intellectual and intelligent. Perhaps this could be describing a business newsletter, okay? Or perhaps your grandmother is writing you a letter and she kind of is this type of person in real life. Her writing and her style of writing would reflect that, okay? It would be very formal and a very elegant sort of way of writing with lots of very fancy words. Okay, so I hope that that's kind of making sense. So the style is the overall way in which a piece of writing is presented. Okay, let's just go over here. Writing styles can be witty, colorful, elegant, adventurous, sophisticated, and so much more. If you can think of an adjective, you can probably use it to describe writing. The style is how the writing presents itself overall to the audience. So then, what's the difference between tone and style? Well, the writer uses a writing style in the hopes that you as the reader can pick up on his tone, because the tone is the writer's attitude, and he is going to communicate that to you through picking a style. So the style is an informed decision from the writer, okay? He's not just writing willy-nilly. All right? The writer must think cleverly in order to set the tone in their novel. They can accomplish this through the use of word choice, punctuation, etc., which just means I could go on and on and on. Okay, so style, the manner in which the author chooses to communicate. I want to write in a formal and an informal and humorous style. Okay, then they're going to go ahead and they're going to create it. And then we, as the audience, can pick up that their attitude was one of humor, one of lightheartedness. Okay, tone is the atmosphere that is created by the author. The author's attitude can be seen through how they choose to write. Then I'm just going to throw another word in here because this is something that they could definitely ask you. They could say, what is the mood? Now, the mood is what you pick up and what you feel. So even if the author is trying to have an informal, sort of funny, humorous tone, okay, you might pick up a mood that this author's actually secretly sad and insecure. Imagine. Okay, so the mood is very personal to you. It's a mood that you pick up, and as long as you can justify it through evidence from the text, okay, that makes sense and is logical, you will get the marks because it's a personal. If that's the mood that you pick up and you can back it up by evidence, then it's correct because it's personal. All right, but tone is definitely something that the author wants to present, and there's definitely a correct answer. There's probably lots and lots of correct answers. You just have to sort of pinpoint what the attitude they're trying to portray, and explain why you're getting that atmosphere, that vibe. So now it's time for us to explore the difference between a narrator and an author, because this is something that people are sometimes mistaken with. The narrator is the person who is recounting or telling the story in the novel. And just because someone's the author, aka the human, writing the book, doesn't mean that they are the narrator. Okay, because the novel is seen from the narrator's perspective. The story is seen from their eyes and they control the narrative. Okay, and the reason why a narrator is not to be confused with an author is because we can't assume that just because a person wrote the book that they are the one who's telling the story. No, narrators are often fictional. They're often made up too. Okay, think about Harry Potter. Think about The Lord of the Rings. any sort of story you've written, often it's from, an 11-year-old boy's perspective or something like that. The person who's writing it is a 50-year-old woman. Okay, so author and narrator, very, very different things. The narrator is often another character in the story and is not connected to the author at all. Some famous authors, which I just like to point out, are J.R.R. Tolkien. There he is over there. He was inspired for The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which he wrote, by the Midlands, the KZN Midlands. Okay, he spent a period of his young life there. And so the rolling hills in those stories, those novels, are inspired by KwaZulu-Natal. Okay. John van der Riet. I'm not sure if you guys have read Spud or watched Spud, but yes, he is the author. And I suppose, okay, no, that's a bad example because no, because it's actually not. Okay, because in Spud, he's coming from the perspective of a 14-year-old boy. Okay, but the author at the stage, John, look at him. He's a grown man. Okay, so the author is the person who is writing the novel, and the narrator is sort of like the main character often in the novel, who is, it's all from their perspective. Okay, and then the monster came from the bushes and ran towards me. Okay, that's the narrator, but the author is the one who's writing the book safely in their room. Okay. Let us look at the three types of narrator. Okay, so the first person narrator is speaking in the first person. They are using the word I. So the narrator is talking about themselves. Everything is from their perspective. For example, the spider bit me. I started to feel strange and now I'm Spider-Man. I am not a huge fan of spiders. Okay, do you see how it's me and I, and it's in the first person? Third person narrator, okay, is talking in the third party and describing others from the outside perspective. So she's using words like they instead of words like we. She's not including herself. Okay, so let's have a look. This narrator does not know the inner thoughts of other characters. They are describing what they see unfolding. For example, they went to investigate what was happening. Sarah jumped as Gregory turned on the torch. Okay, she's using their names. She's on the outside. You might be asking at this point, what's a second person narrator? It's very rarely seen. Some authors are quite creative and clever with it, but that's when you say you. So first person is I, me. Second person is you. Okay, I'm talking to you. And then third person is Sarah, Gregory, they. Okay, it's from a totally outside perspective. All right. Then we have an omniscient narrator. I think that you should write this down, guys. I do think it's important. It's a very popular one that authors use in novels, and it's a word you won't really remember if you don't write it down. Okay, because this narrator knows everything. Okay, about the characters and events unfolding. They are telling the story with the ability to know the characters' thoughts and feelings. Omniscient is associated with sort of higher sort of beings, okay, looking down upon us like we're little ants, and the plot's unfolding, and they're kind of like puppet masters. They can kind of see everything and know what we're feeling and thinking in in our hearts. For example, they went to investigate what was happening, and Sarah suddenly felt really nervous. Sarah jumped as Gregory turned on the torch. Okay, she thought, maybe I should tell them that I'm not going. See how that narrator, it's a lovely way of narrating, because then you can really explore every character's thoughts and feelings, and the audience knows everything in that regard. Okay. Do you see how the omniscient narrator knew what the characters were thinking and feeling? This is what we mean when we say that this narrator is all-seeing, omniscient. Let's have a look at this beautiful quote by Mason Cooley. He says, reading gives us some place to go when we have to stay where we are. It is such a journey to read sometimes. It's a beautiful thing when you really, really enjoy a novel. And I hope that we're still on for our one novel this year challenge. It's a very, very easy challenge, okay? Hopefully you read more, but at least one novel at this stage in the game would be very, very helpful for your future. Okay, the catalyst. Right. Think of a catalyst like a spark. A catalyst is something that sparks change. Okay, I'm not sure if you've had a catalyst in your life yet, but yes, it's something that's quite a defining moment, okay, in the storyline, and it's a major life event for the main character or the protagonist. And indeed, any character can have a catalyst, but in terms of storyline, it's probably going to be the protagonist that has this catalyst, this explosional change. The catalyst has changed the perspective, okay, of the protagonist. Thus, all of their actions going forward are affected by this explosion. Okay, so life before the catalyst, it's continuing, it's normal for the main character, whatever normal might be. They are perhaps more naive and at ease in this point. They're often younger and just more innocent. Okay, think of Spider Man. He just goes to school, he's a normal kid. I think he's bullied, and then boom, catalyst, bitten by a spider. Boom, shame. His uncle Ben passes away. And then he decides, I'm going to go find this villain. I'm going to fight crime. Catalyst, boom. A major incident that sets the flow for how the story will continue to develop. Often, something dramatic and life altering happens, like the death of a role model. Uncle Ben. I don't know what I did there. It's meant to be Uncle Ben from Spider-Man. Mufasa from The Lion King. Yeah, that's a huge catalyst. Okay? Remember when Simba's innocent, he just wants to be king, he's kind of obnoxious, then boom, catalyst, his dad dies, and Scar says it's all his fault. Total catalyst. He gives up everything from before, and he decides that he's just bad news, and he goes into the wilderness on his own. Okay? Doesn't have to be something so dramatic, but it often is. Okay? It could also be something like a girl joining the school, or a character joining a team sport. Okay, so something like, she's the queen bee at school, and then boom, someone cooler comes along. Catalyst. Then everything changes and they have to fight this girl. And then at life art, after the catalyst has changed, actions are directly affected by this. Okay, because of this catalyst, the character is a different person, and so they need to make tough decisions, and they need to alter their life to cater for the catalyst. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you learned something. And yes, I'll see you for our practice video.